What can I say? To the organisers, the attendees, to everyone that made it happen, congratulations. Congratulations. Not a single arrest in Sydney during the event. Incident free. Congratulations to the police for keeping everyone safe. I know Steggles and a few others who were a bit anxious at points, even despite some fairly intense characters who were there. Congratulations. Australia, really. Because I don't think there's too many people in Australia that this negative effects. This is good for everyone already here. Congratulations. If you're living in Australia, reducing immigration is in your best interests. Whether you're a student visa holder, a temporary visa holder, a permanent visa holder, a permanent resident, a citizen, an expatriate Australian. Congratulations. Congratulations. Hard to believe. Hard to believe. Some corrections to take that down a notch, though. Some corrections to take that down a notch. I'll get them out of the way early so that I can. During this, I have a correction to make, is that I made an error in my reporting. During this, I reported on this and I was unable to verify that the connection between the speakers on stage and the people leaving were part of it. To do that, I would have needed to go out into the field and get 2 or more reasons as to why and form an assessment. Doing a remote assessment from that was inaccurate. It was wrong. I retract it. I should probably make a post about it. But for you viewing, I should not have made an assessment from where I was standing that it was. Was I able to find some people who were unhappy with what being on stage? Absolutely. I'm going to report it, and I don't regret doing that. I don't regret clipping that. I regret not just capturing, making the assessment, and then clipping that when my assessment that was what was killed it. Again, to do that, I would have needed to go out into the field and get that myself and ask what that was. Now, on a lighter note, probably the highlight of the entire stream, the absolute highlight of the entire stream for me. Does it get better than that? Dana, glad you were there. I think if more transgender identifying people would share these values, I think this would be a lot better. But you are unique, and that's the reason we are where we are with the entire transgender debate and discussion. Let's go to Melbourne, because I want to talk about violence. If it bleeds, it leads, right? Who doesn't love to talk about violence? Love violence. We all love it. Yes. Beat him. Beat who? I don't know. Let's beat people up. People we don't like. People who don't share our views. Let's beat them. Yep. Hold on a minute. Who started it? And I want to, from someone who shares the same role as Avi, assess this, because this was the other most viewed thing that was going around out of Melbourne. What I can only describe as a 5-man hazard team. 2 security, 6'6" security guards, 2 walkie cameramen in the middle of a tight situation, walking straight up to a group of people he knows vehemently oppose him. He knows do not support him. He knows oppose him. In a crowded, chaotic situation, walks straight up to them. And Tom, to his credit, says, "It's time to go." Very polite. It's time to go. Holds some guys back. It's time to go. But his security guards, Arby's security guards, close ranks. Okay, that's where we get to who gets to say, who gets to stay and not. And where possible, you try to avoid becoming the story. It does happen, but you try to. Over and over and over again, Tom says it is time to go. And here's the rules of a protest. Normal rules are out the window. It's more schoolyard rules. If they have more people, and if the crowd turns against you, you got to go. You go. That's just how it is. If they've got the numbers, you go. And if things escalate, and I've got to remember that too, because a similar situation to this, when this started escalating and this pushy, shovey, shovey turns into more than just pushy, shovey, shovey, Harvey, to his credit, starts backing up. But you have been asked several times, it's time to go. Now, that did move quickly, but what that is a nice way to say, you're not welcome here. My guys don't want you here. And that goes for left-wing protests as well. You're not welcome there. So you've got to keep a little bit of distance. I encountered a similar situation. It's your favorite. Well, I'm not sure I can say that word. I encountered a similar situation. When, as I said, who can I talk to of the girls at the front? And instead, Jack and crew said a similar thing, but calling me a troublemaker and a faggot. Now, in a much more open situation, you can see here. Is that Lockie? Is that Lockie on my left? No way. Would that be Lockie? I don't know. But I'm here. I've got a much more open situation, and I do talk back. And I'm told to get out of the way. I'm a troublemaker. Similar situation. But what escalates from there is... Where is my situation? What escalates from there is someone you'll know. One Adam Whitechapel, who adjusts my balance, as he puts it. Now, that comes to what your role is at such an event. What this comes to is what your role is in terms of an order of priority. Let me just fix that. Done. What your role is here as part of a group when you're leading them is the comparatively polite time to go. If Sewell itself had come up to me and said, give us space, I don't want to talk, it would have been cool. Sewell would not have stood behind a banner in order to deal with this. But for anyone to incite a crowd to deal with such a situation, not deal it with yourself, is cowardly. It really is. Secondarily, is it part of your mission? Is your mission here in order to work against mass migration, raise awareness of it, talk to Europeans and try and raise awareness of it? Is your role in terms of your hierarchy in order to recruit, promote, and do other things? Or is it to punch on? Something to think about. Escalation does matter. Escalation does matter of how you do it. Deal with it yourself. Again, if someone had come up to me and said, hey, don't want to talk to you, move on, it's all good. Now, this isn't necessarily about me in this way, because assume that it was presumed that I was a left-wing ABC agitator trying to get a rise out of someone and get clicks and baits and what have you. It's not the clip that you're necessarily looking for. Remember, Tom Sewell gave a 16-minute interview to RV himself not that long ago, less crowded situation. Jack, later in the same day, gave an uninterrupted 5-minute interview to Channel 10, only to conclude, this is an agitator, and then getting Bateman, 2IC of Public Order and Riot, to move me on. What? Why would you get police doing that? This comes with understanding how protests work and what the order is. But that's not a bad question. He started it. Yep. Oh, there you go. Nice show from Bateman. And I'm like, yep, I'll just leave that. It'd be appreciated. Get him out of here. Again, you got to like deal with this yourself. It says something to me anyway to... Are you racist? Yep, we're racist. There you go. That's the interview. You can engage with it. You can get better at this. But from where I understand, hostile, dangerous, stay away from that group in terms of reporting in future. I will say this was one of the only uncut interviews with New South Wales NSN that have happened. We normally only see clips, and the reason why I recorded it was because of that. The guys weren't recording it themselves, which always makes for an interesting one, because you don't get to hear what their messaging is themselves. And here we got it uncut. A very, very anxious and nervous individual She was just trying to report on it. All right. Let's try and move on from Avi and Sewell after we... One more thing. We'll move past this. What happened this morning? Jacinta's got a lot of people who don't like her. A lot of people who follow me that don't like her. I don't like her. Who? Her support base is the low 30s. It is the laptop set who will never see a single thing that any of us really share. We don't share their jobs. We don't share their communities. We don't share their areas. We don't share their backgrounds. We don't share their education. We don't share their class. Your average Jacinta voter, we just share so little with. So anyone who stands up to her, we look at and go, yep, I'm against her. I'm against her. Because what's the alternative? The guy who autofocus can't keep on him and say that racist rhetoric things. This came after what we saw the night before. You also saw the confronting scenes of Camp Sovereignty getting attacked. This is not a political open use of violence for political aims is not unusual. The cars being spray painted, or, as the British Australian community documents quite well, is the amount of vandalism and outright destruction of their website issue. Hold on. Got to go through menus. See if I can report that later. Wait, maybe not. Hands off our heritage. The list of examples of the vandalism that isn't repaired, the destruction of what occurs, and councils and organisations, premiers that just let it go, that never replace it. This is how it rolls. These are the rules. These are the rules of how that works. So you end up with a situation where the most prominent figure trying to stand up against Jacinta is probably someone that you don't like the aims of their organisation. I get that. There's a lot of people who don't support the aims of his organisation. But that's pretty much it. Expand this one layer further. If Pauline Hanson, the leader of perhaps the most Zionist political party in the country, can stand up for the march, who's one of the most prominent figures of the march that were reported on, was Tom Sewell. If this such a broad church can hold together, can you, against a cause that all Australians can, I believe all Australians of outside a minority who are broadly suicidal, can get behind, which is against mass immigration? Pauline Hanson loves Israel, hates Nazis, can stop using the N-word like everyone else for a minute, myself included, can stop using the N-word and refocus us onto the topic at hand, which is mass immigration, rather than nuances of a three-letter organization. Maybe you can too. Maybe you can too. Maybe you can too. We can admire a message, if not the man in the organization, even though he's now in jail. For those who don't know, after this press conference this morning, which he confronted Jacinta Allen and gave a piece of his mind to, lucky he's wearing his Helly Hansen. It looks wet out there. Excellent weatherproofing. You should consider it. You should consider it. Let's move on a little bit to the Nepo baby, the Nepo Nazi, the man from one of Australia's richest families who is putting it, his family, himself, all of it, on the line for not his housing. He's sorted. He's one of the richest families in Australia. He's okay on housing, guys. He got this. But what's the good of a very nice house if it's surrounded by people in a decaying society? People that hate you in a decaying society. He's the richest man in Rhodesia. Cool. Doesn't want to live in South Africa. Brought so many together. What else can I speak to point? I swear, until I saw some on Sunday morning, I was ready for the potential, if there wasn't a very big turnout, for a federal task force. A state task force ended up getting set up, but a federal task force didn't. In fact, the Prime Minister called many of the people who went good people. Jack Posobiec, close to the White House, super influencer over there, is coming to Australia. He will be speaking at CPAC. And he brought up freedom of speech, the protest we all went to, and how closely the current US administration is paying attention to it when it comes to trade deals, because they want to trade with countries that have freedom of speech, tariff-free, and encourage that. That's called fire support. That is called fire support. That is air cover. If you're anything like me, you're gonna enjoy this sound. If you're anything like me. On the ground matters, international matters more. And if someone was in Albanese's media office that morning and saw this, it would give them pause. It would give them pause. I imagine that the Trump White House will be very interested, especially the question of tariffs being open right now. That is what gives an Albanese cabinet the fear of tariffs, the fear of Trump goes straight into their veins. That, if it gets to the right places, is... Does anyone have any good coverage of Melbourne? Please, help me. Shockmouth streamed it, but I didn't see any of the speeches. So when I saw Ozpil's edit, I could not find actual speeches. Now, this Overton window has shifted remarkably. So much so. Can you believe this? The Daily Mail telling you where to find the immigration is coming. Holy moly. This is 1990s LA, bussing in, diversity, the whole emptying out of suburbs that happened in the US, and the, as is often termed, white flight from the incredible number of murders that started happening as neighborhoods mixed and neighborhoods changed. Oh, bugger, did I mute it? Sorry, guys. Life goes on. It's a bird. I want to talk about one topic that I can speak with authenticity here and authority, which is this one. People brought up with me my view that I reported that the event had been hijacked, and to the beginning, it had. The event at its start had been hijacked. We can talk about also the there's speakers on stage. That's a matter of ideology. March for Australia had distanced itself from NSN throughout, and then in Sydney we saw 3 NSN speakers. And I think that is a matter to talk about as to when you say we're not part of it, but then you end up being that. But look, we'll get into that ideology. This is what I can speak with more authority to, which is trying to coordinate her yellow vest marshals here. When does it begin? When are we getting to go? And I speak to her at the beginning of it. That we're going to be walking up it, we're going to commence it, and she's trying to get the marshals to do what they need to do, foreign flags. Okay, off we go. But what I spot is this man. Let's start the march. Whatever the hell he's doing, he's not an organizer. He's not. I'm just an average bloke, but we're going to disperse if we don't get moving. And then he gets on the megaphone and he says, I'm not the organizer, but people start following. I'm just an average Aussie, and off we go. And the police are like, yep, this is it. We're on our way. Here we are. If he's not an organizer and he's saying, let's go, and hundreds of people start following, you just got hijacked. And off we went. That was the beginning of the march. Beck was nowhere in sight. Marshals were nowhere in sight. They all have to run to try and keep up with whatever's happening here. I try and get a photo of his speech, but he's just got whatever is happening there. That shit's going to get me bashed. Beck was mad. Fairly so. Her protest had just got jacked. Everyone, the police and all the organisers were ignoring them. She had to get to the front with a megaphone and get back to trying to get people moving. And she said she's not just that she's pissed off. Can vouch for that. I was angry. It was not meant to happen. It was meant to be held by marshals, and that's just going to get me bashed. I will say, protests can quickly spiral out of control, and if an individual who's not an organizer, doesn't know the game plan, starts leading your group in a direction that they shouldn't be, into police. Look, having some experience of hijacks, Cossack has been more than once known to direct people and been around a few protest bushes that can lead to violence, and I think that's what she was meaning there. All right. What else have I got to go through? No. Look at that. 23 minutes of a fairly simple presentation to try and give some recap on what that was. Ask me anything. 4 hours, about 6-7 million impressions across all of it. Went global, fun, cool. Melbourne. Where the hell was Melbourne? Every other live stream where it was just crowd stuff, or with Rebel it was just the hosts. I normally say there's 1 million cameras on stage. Totally wrong with Melbourne. Totally wrong. No, I'm not bringing up comments that say hail. No hailing. Or hailing. Arby wants to leave. He's going. He's leaving. He wants to go. And I don't think he should have said that he wants to go. He wants to leave Australia. I think that you lose your Australia First audience by doing that. Like, forget it if you're thinking it. Arby just shouldn't have said it. But for two, bro, this is okay. That's where we get into. I bet you think things are that bad. Lot of worse countries out there. Yes, there have been firebombings. They're terrible. Nobody wants to see firebombings in that way. I think it. All right, let's go through. Trying to save a. Oh, hold on. Well, it's not about. Hold on. It's not about necessarily about that part of it. But when an individual, a live streamer with a security approaches to talk about racism, yeah, I will say Jack was able to take Channel 10 and field the interview. If Arby had approached Sewell outside of protest hours, I think a discussion could have happened. But the right intense middle of a crowd, look, you just got to have schoolyard rules, and it just wasn't the right time. In future, I'll be handling things differently with black shirts and maybe catching up with them at the end, but I probably won't ask them any questions. I'll just kind of boot over the shoulder other people's interviews just because of where things are out there. Yeah. How come we didn't? How come we didn't? They posted it, founded it. I grabbed Australians versus the Agenda content and tried to give them a comment on what it is. If you were for lockdowns, I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you? Yeah. I don't know if calling me a faggot is their way of liking me, but yeah, sure. There is another protest on September 13. Speaking of which, I should mention, not just a protest, Australian Firebrand Housing and Immigration Summit that is coming up on the day before CPAC, September 19th. Gerard Rennick, Stuart Bonds, Morgan Cox, Leith Van Onselen, and 2 others yet to be announced. Helping Isaac, going to be filming it. Come along if you're going to be in Brisbane for CPAC, or if you're just in Brisbane and you're not going to CPAC, come. This is a serious problem. This is not going to be, well, actually maybe after this weekend, might be starting to be spoken about a serious problem. This thing's been in the works for about a month, got announced about a week and a bit ago. Comes to good time. Narrative's there. Do you want less immigration? Like, do you or not? I don't know. Do you want less immigration? You missed the Bert. Sorry about that. I think for one, it's competence. For two, it's background. I will say that Beck's talking points and ability to speak in public have come miles in, I don't know, however long it is, where she's in a very different place. It is the lack of experience that I've similarly a long time ago called Monica Schmidt out for needing to do better with handling the budget of Reignite Democracy, which many criticized her for, which some said she was like stealing and fraud. No, that it's about competence. And when someone isn't competent, being able to listen to others and then being able to ask for advice, to be able to be competent, to be humble enough to recognize when you don't necessarily have that, what you need to do that and practice at it. I'm not competent at all kinds of things. I'm not a political candidate. I'm a terrible cook. I'm very grateful for that. I mean, I can go on and on the list of things which I'm not. I am a technical specialist. I'm an academic mind, whatever you want to say. I am not a brute force, physically engaging guy. I am not competent in that way. And I'm so thankful to my support on that day who saved me from, again, how did Chris get into it? More severe physical injury. Interestingly enough, from a close associate of Beck, speaking of getting bashed. But why don't people like Beck? I think she can grow. I think, well, all of us can grow, but I think she can. She's dedicated to it. She's passionate. She organized 10 to 15 marshals on that day. That's my assessment. Well, messaging went out that it wasn't their event. And the guy at the front who led the event, and then you had black shirts leading the event. That's okay. What's wrong? That's a good thing, isn't it? Like you want people coming to your protest. Look, I don't know why you'd turn the protest into like a security checkpoint. We need to assess you for your views. They were on good behavior that day during the march, right? They were on good behavior. In fact, during this, what I was highlighting was that they were saying end mass immigration. They were not repeating frames that might have talked about certain cosmopolitan groups or hate for other groups. Their chants were on message with the rest of the march. This is what good behaviour looks like. This is what negotiated discussion of Jack Elder speaking with one of the marshals beforehand is. One of the marshals or Beck or someone said, we want you here on message. We're not here for foreign flags. We're not here for other issues. And that's what you want. When we look at Palestinian protests with many different, not just foreign flags, but banned flags and burning of Australian flags, they're not on message. They cannot say and scan people at the door and say, all right, are you a believer? Are you a Hamas supporter, a Hezbollah or whatever? They're not doing that. All they can hope for and try and do is get people to be on message. When you're organising a protest, you're responsible for what happens there. You do not have infinite resources to start setting up checkpoints. This was a negotiation which worked to have black shirts come and stay on message and not to go too far out. Yeah, you end up with them speaking at the end. There's some thoughts about that. Not really. No, when he flexes sometimes, maybe. No. Some things can ride on my conscience. I don't want to say misrepresenting, but oh, what a moment. It was just such the kindest misgendering. He's put a foot down. Where is this? I really did feel this for a bit. I really felt that unless I'm able to run down here and speak to these people and say, are you leaving because of this? And get more than 50%. Oh man, that did ride in my head. That did. I felt bad about it. I don't mind saying that. I felt bad about it. I regretted that. I don't mind saying that. That also means, and here's the thing with modern social media, someone who will do what I just did and say, yeah, I regret that, means you don't get to Arvy's fame level. You don't get to that kind of thing up there. You don't get to the mega stardom. I don't rely on that. I'm okay to show vulnerability and fallibility in the pursuit of trying to get a more accurate picture of the situations that fly by behind our eyes. If you are watching this as you have been for the past 33 minutes, you care about precision and accuracy of the events that shape and change the course of our nation, which this event did, and that no 3-minute soundbite can follow into. And you rely on me for my ability to reflect on it with precision and accuracy likewise, because you couldn't be there. You weren't everywhere for it, either because of your physical agility, as some have praised me for, thank you very much, or your time, or whatever else is. I'm in a unique position to be able to do that. And precision matters. Precision matters. All right. Oh, long question. Long answer. Politics, immigration, a disappearance of past industrial heartland, unemployment, the type of immigrants who came to Melbourne through the 1850s, gold rush. Remember, it's quite a new city. It pretty much popped up inside a decade. Eureka Stockade, Scots versus Irish. If he commits crimes, then arrests need to follow. Here's the challenge we run into, at least in Melbourne anyway, is that crimes are normally let off. Machete, stab, go on and do more. It's a lawless city. So why people were looking at it today of he was charged with something or other. Yeah, anyway, I'll move on from that one. Stop doing your work. They do. I don't know if you saw, I went through the e-safety commissioner calling out the Americans and the collaborating with them. Wow. Yeah, probably am different. Oh, I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. Cropping out my watermark. Oh. If you hand them the mic, you're responsible for what they say. That said, their past membership may have mattered, but if you look at what they've said, they did not identify them. Oh, I don't believe, I've got to check this, they identified themselves as members of the National Socialist Network. They identified them, and they were there to represent themselves as part of White Australia. And this is where Jack needed to make that clearer during the interviews. But you are a member of both groups, therefore you can't shed that association. But that clarification, whatever your grouping is, does matter. It matters for the purposes of being disingenuous. If you say you're part of one political party, but then part of another, well, that does matter. Speaking of political parties, damn, I missed it. The National Socialist Network, they're going political. It's happening. 1,000 sign-ups to the org. They need to get to 1,500. Australia is on its way to a registered political party of the National Socialist Network. What does that mean for Australia? Cripes. I don't even know where to start. It's happening. I got it registered. You know, it's worse than they're getting it registered if you don't like them. They get registered and someone bans them. Oh, imagine living in a country where we've done it. Yeah, good. Get a political party. Get it going. I'd be glad to see it. If they ban it, that's wild times now. Is Australia somewhere that supports more than the National Socialist Network being a sub 1% party? I don't know. Things have been moving fast, but One Nation has been struggling to get 6.5, 7. That's really starting to turn up though. With the Liberal Party turning left, people are going to One Nation. Look at them go. Holly Hughes turning right. Like it is a filter happening. Okay. On message. They did not use National Socialist. I don't believe they said National Socialist talking points. And during the march of the chants that I heard go out from them, they were staying on message. Did they during at some point chant that? No doubt. But saying mass immigration as a clarifier suggested that they were either being marshalled to or trying to stick with the marshals. That's what good behavior looks like. Stop gaslighting yourself. The aim is to set up new laws. Yep, that's true. Such a clear and serious problem. If it's such a clear and serious problem, how do regular people make real change in the face of such political incompetence? Joining political parties works. Becoming a member, at least even if you only vote in Liberal state executives. Joining One Nation can work as well, but Liberal don't allow dual of it, but they won't know anyway. If you're not in the room when decisions are made, it doesn't change much. They did bite a bit of their tongue, but so what? We know what they stand for. Yeah, okay, there you go. A completely white Australia. There you go. Imagine if they told us what they really think. Remigration or beyond. Beyond dream, keep going. Yep. You will have Hezbollah supporters at Palestinian rallies, and the socialists will ask them to keep their traps shut while they're there. That's part of a protest, is to broaden that church. Otherwise, you end up with really tiny protests. The goal is to try and demonstrate how broad you can make your church. I marched with the Palestinians. Look at me. To stop the war and send them back. And no one touched me. With an Australian flag in my shirt pocket. No one touched me. Had some thumbs up, had some cheeriness. there were plenty of people there who wanted to destroy the Australian flag, but they didn't until we got to the other end and the hardline socialists had a, what was I? Fascist. That's me. I'm a fascist. I don't think I claimed otherwise. I think I claimed that he didn't identify himself as a National Socialist Network member, and that was key there. Maybe he could have said, but whatever. Fake book. Do I want to talk about? I do, but I don't want this to be a particularly long stream, and I do want coverage of Chris coverage. I want not Chris coverage of Canberra, like I do Melbourne. Live stream? How do I find it? How do I find Canberra something? Yep. 24 minutes of raw footage showing. Oh, but I don't get. Oh, that's my problem. I want the speeches. I want speeches of Brisbane. Wait, seriously? You stood there in one place for 24 minutes? Holy moly, it's huge. No, would have been great. This is 24 minutes sped up. Look at this. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I'll say that was a 2 spice speed up original. That is a 48 minutes for them to walk past. That's unbelievable. No, that's COVID. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Yes, I do. Tomorrow. Maybe tonight. Hold on. I know that last name. Let me do some more comments and then, hold on, I see that. Well, this is where we have to talk about goals. You have groups that are looking for larger goals, lesser goals. The broader one is to end mass immigration. That's the broadest cause, which was on the banner for Beck, which lots of people there wanted to support. Then you get to net zero. Then you get to remigration, mass deportations, white Australia. Like, these are the shades of it. You know what's funny about this entire debate? We're all talking about all these different ways. Probably the one policy that would please most of these parties is literally Dubai, which is 94% foreign, but it is unquestionably Emirati. I think if you put that to the farthest right, short of the racial holy war guys, which are just baffling, absolutely baffling, you'd get understanding and support. I don't know how the socialist left would take it. I think a lot of groups, I think it'd be tough there, but within even the centre right, to say we need, forget a 5-year pause on immigration, you want a 5-year pause on citizenship to try and assess who is compatible with being a citizen of Australia. I was in Abu Dhabi at the beginning of the year, and because I went to the Milan remigration conference, which was fantastic. I was really happy to be there. And like seeing that somewhere I used to live almost 15 years ago, so old, so much, only become more Emirati. The entire debate about how many people are coming and whatever, you can win the business lobby and say, hey, you want Labor? We can do that. Here you go. You want to build mass slab lots of housing? We can do that. And you also win many of the civic nationalists. Topher Field will be on board with this one. Yes, I should. Hold on. Yes, I should. Hold on. Yep. I've got a Canberra organizer. Thank you for chasing me down. So I think a little bit, what have you. I've got a Canberra organizer. A controversial organizer, if I will say. A name who has run it. Cripesy. I he trying to keep up to date with the news there. G'day, mate. Don't just you know you're live, of course.
Cool. Yeah, we can jump on.
No, you are live now.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But just trying to get up to speed. So this is Andrew Thaler. He was one of the organisers of the Canberra rally. Andrew, where do we find some footage of the event?
Oh, there's heaps of it on Twitter. My Facebook page, Andrew Thaler, and Unvaxxed Australia, we've got a bunch up there. There's actually a shitload of it on Twitter. There's a lot of Canberra Twitter. I reckon we had 5,000 people come to Canberra. We told the AFP we might have 500, and we got 5,000.
Oh, that's right. You have federal police, don't you? How did you find good, bad? What AFP's reaction?
Oh, AFP were great. We probably had over 100 police there along the roadsides, up along the front of Parliament. We had a really nasty, awful counter protest from Labor and the Greens. We heard a rumour that they were going to use water pistols to spray urine on us as we were walking, and there was plenty of police. There was no way that was going to happen, and they were not allowed to follow us. So we actually, originally, the plan was to walk up the footpath of Commonwealth Avenue, and the coppers were like, nah, there's too many of you, we'll just shut the road for you. So we actually walked up Commonwealth Avenue. Pauline Hanson turned up unannounced. Police didn't know, we did not know. And so that 5,000 people, they were so energised and excited when Pauline turned up with the red hair and Malcolm Roberts.
Andrew, what do you make of Pauline Hanson pretty much standing on the same side as the National Socialist Network? Like, help me unpack that.
Well, she's not. So she has been in the Parliament today, and I'm not a Pauline member, I'm not a Pauline supporter, but I do thank her for her energy and her time. She has been saying mass immigration, we oppose, and that is the message. We love multiculturalism. We love a more ordered immigration system where we take smaller numbers from all of the different nationalities. So it's mixed, so that there's no one giant driving ethnic group or religious group or political group. It needs to be randomised. It needs to be mixed and spread out. All the nations of the world. No one opposes immigration, as we love our international food. One of the things I said at the rally was, let's not forget that pizza came to Australia through Cooma, consequent on the Snowy Hydro scheme with the Italians bought out to build it.
It's okay. We've got the recipes, mate. We can make it. Okay.
Oh, you want to send them back now?
Get the recipes and send them back.
Exactly. Nobody was there to oppose immigration. Everybody was there. Simple focus. Stop the bulk immigration. We've got homeless. We've got veterans. We've got all the problems of social stress. We can't house our people. We can't fit more people in. Not that the country can't fit them, but the housing build. We've run out of housing, and people can't afford the rent. There's a couple of reasons why we can't afford the rent. It's because people have been outpriced. As simple as that.
No, it's clearly established. No matter how many thousand people you bring in a day, there's no effect on rentals. All the other people that you're in a queue with have no effect on it.
There is an effect on rental. You cannot get rentals in the country, mate. Country towns, there's nothing to rent. I can't bring workers into my area. It's nothing to rent. It's nowhere for them to go. The government is building social housing everywhere. There's 170 lots for social housing under construction in Cooma now. But when they say social housing, they actually mean fireys, teachers, nurses. It's public sector housing. Yeah. They can't get housing.
Come back to the Canberra event. I'm looking for where I can find. Tell me, who were the speakers that you had there?
We had 10 times more people than we expected, and we only had a tiny PA. We only had 2 weeks to pull it together. So we didn't have a loud enough PA. And so we didn't end up worrying about speakers because Everybody wanted to get photos with Pauline. So from a crowd management point of view, it went really well and it was very ordered, but there wasn't much point in having speeches
So
because you couldn't hear, you couldn't penetrate the noise of the people.
March.
Yeah, pretty much. There were people that spoke at the end when the crowd thinned right out, but we didn't have a big enough PA. We honestly didn't even expect 500. We honestly did not even expect 500. Canberra's a tough place. It's all public servants. It's all very blue and red. And everyone keeps their head down because nobody wanted to be kind of aligned. And that was the feeling. And then we were there and people just kept coming and they kept coming and they kept coming. And we started the march and it took forever for everyone to get over Commonwealth Bridge. It took about 20-something minutes for the rear of the column to make it to the Parliament Green.
No, I'm seeing it here. Brisbane was. I'm not sure if you saw. I brought up in real time. 48 minutes. 48 minutes it looked for the crowd to be able to pass through this one in 40. I mean, just a staggering number. Honestly, looking.
That's public opinion, Chris. That is democracy. That is the majority. And I accepted 5,000 people in a population of 500,000 in Canberra and surrounds is only 1%. But it's still a big number of people who are prepared to go out and be seen and be filmed by the ASP. None of them wore masks. None of the marchers wore masks. The youth students and the rabble who were abusing, they all wore masks. None of them wanted to be identified. None of our mob wore masks. They were proud. They stood there. They had their flag. Take my photo. Identify me. Hear me. Very, very different. Even to the COVID rallies, a lot of people were nervous during those times. I was there for all of them. I've seen it all. And that's why we said, well, we're happy to step up and help organise this and pull it together. Nobody was afraid. It's time. We've had enough. And the biggest chant was elbow out. Elbow out. Pauline started that one. It was pretty funny. Elbow out. They're just sick of it. Sick of being gaslit. Sick of being lied to. Sick of being bullshitted. It's time. It's not a march against immigration. It's a march, and I like Pauline's characterisation, against mass immigration or bulk immigration, uncontrolled immigration. 1,500 a day, we're told. Wow, that's unsustainable.
Mate, I've almost been going an hour. I was hoping to go like 40 or 30 minutes, honestly, and give people a recap.
We actually just got back.
Thank you for
meet the candidates event tonight. I got shameless. I've got the
Kiama.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. They're running in Kiama for the as an independent challenging state government. I was in Parliament today. That's another chat I can talk to you about tomorrow. I went to Parliament today and we got kicked out. Went to a committee of inquiry into local government, of all things. They didn't want to have us, so they kicked everyone in the gallery out so they could have a.
You mean state New South Wales State Parliament?
New South Wales State Parliament, Jubilee Room. I'm late for asking questions of Rob Honig, the minister, and I turned up. And then security guards all turned up because I was there with my wife, and they kicked all the members of the public out. And then they talked to me in the gallery, in the committee. That's a whole other story. I'm waiting for the replay and the transcript. But there is no office of local government as far as I'm concerned. And I think the minister is very worried. And, mate, that's another story for your next live stream. It's a good one.
I'm just reading through some articles. I don't think anyone's particularly complimentary about news of you, but you're running in Kiama. Where there's a by-election on what date?
13th of September.
13th of September.
9 days. Voting starts this Saturday, 1 week pre-poll. And the funniest thing was the media made it all about 4 women. It's a contest between 4 women. I thought, well, I'm a bloke, I'm running. Oh, you're not a local. You're not from Kiama. I said, well, very high. I think that's pretty good.
And there's Joshua Beer running from the Libertarians.
Josh Beer running for the Lib Dems, yeah. Libertarians, I just keep calling them Lib Dems, but yeah.
Who else?
We've got Don Fuggle for the Hemp Party or Legalise Cannabis. We've got Felix Nelson running for Shooters, Farmers, Fishers.
Yep.
And Lisa Cotton running. She's another independent. A few of the others I haven't heard. Sustainable Australia is running someone. There's a whole bunch of people with no contact details. And here's a challenge for anybody. Try and make a phone call to the Labor or the Liberal and ask them any question. They have no contact details. If you ring the Liberal phone number, it's Liberal head office, Sydney number. Oh, I'll take a message. The independents are available, but the major parties are not.
Mate, thank you for jumping on. I'm going to wind this up. Thank you for this time.
Thank you. Appreciate it, mate.
Andrew Thaler, one of the organisers of Canberra. Thank you for that. I'm going to keep going. Yeah, lovely. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, he's running in the Kiama by-election. Colourful media profile, but all of my interactions with him have been good. I've never had a bad one about it. I listen to him, speak to him. Very friendly, straight, upfront, which is why I find these number of incidents. Even, do you remember Denise Spitty? From my point of view, the media played it out as to be something completely different. But maybe we'll see something completely untoward and we'll show something else. But everything I've seen out of him has been so far so good. Josh Beers running down there. All right. Guys, I'm going to leave that there. Andrew, thanks for jumping into that one. Sorry that ran a little bit long for those who are still there. Good comment to end it on. Good comment to end it on. Someone who doesn't like him and likes the message. There you go. What do you do with that? Set up some other groups. Have a look at that. All right, guys. I will see you next protest, which at this rate is less than 2 weeks away on September 13th. I will see you hopefully in less than 3 weeks away, either at CPAC or Australian Firebrands Housing Immigration Summit. And I'll see if I can find time to do another stream this week.